Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we are going to be doing part 2 of our Alpha Clash lore series. We're going to start to dive into the novel, hit some of the key characters and key points, and continue to share the story with you all of the Alpha Clash world in the Alpha Clash lore. Hopefully you enjoy it. We'll talk about it here in a second though. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully you enjoy your stay. If you're a long-staying supporter, thank you so much as always. We'll get right into it. Check out all the stuff down below. So this is part 2 of the lore series. I want this to be very conversational. I want to help give you some, a closer look at like some of the key points and key characters in the story. I've already read the novel. It's sitting right here, but I'm rereading it because what I want to do is give you all kind of like the spark notes, right? The highlights. I don't want to go page by page. I don't want to give you every key spoiler of the story, and I'm going to omit some things purposefully because I want you to get this novel. I want you to get the comic books with the Team Covenant announcement, with the upcoming comics for the upcoming sets that are coming out in the TCG. I want you to be able to experience all that for yourself because it's truly an amazing story, and that's why I'm doing this lore series, is to give people, generate a little bit of excitement, right? Talk about the characters, talk about their key points, maybe give you a little snippet of the stories here and there, and hopefully break this into like a 4 or 5 part series to talk about the novel from start to finish, and then let you experience some of those other key plot points, the ones I'm omitting, for yourself when you purchase the novel. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Let me know if you like this conversational style. For anyone that has read all the lore, let me know if this makes sense to you. If I missed anything that's not a major spoiler, you're going to be able to tell if you've read the novel which parts I'm leaving out. But hopefully we can kind of go through this. So this is part 1 of like 4 more parts, where this is like the first, I'd say 100-ish pages of the book. There's like 500 pages total. So we're going to go kind of by character. It's like the easiest way to do it, to be able to give you key points while also not having to like delve into every spoiler. So the book itself starts in Switzerland, which we went over in part 1 of the series. I implore you to go check that out. It's like 2 videos back on my channel. The story starts in Switzerland with the Kinetic Blast, right? And again, this is an awakening. The progenitors have, done another awakening on Earth where alphas have awakened within humans, or humans have turned into alphas through the awakening, and now they have the pull or the urge, the subconscious urge to fight each other. And you kind of learn that in the first part of the book, that this pull happens like at the subconscious level. There's an interaction with Clarity and another alpha, which we'll talk about here in a second, or not even talk about, but it happens. We won't talk about that. That's another point I'll leave out so you can kind of get that experience for yourself. But Clarity has a interaction with an alpha where you can kind of see like, okay, where does this pull semi-originate in these alphas? Clarity, what you also learn through that interaction is that she can delve into the minds of these alphas and free them from the pull. Whether it's by touch or like she kind of gets in close proximity, she's basically able to snap into their subconscious, kind of like freeze frame them, and kind of experience what they're experiencing. She sees their memories, she sees their emotions, she can feel emotions. She's able to like look at, there's a certain fight that happens in the first part of the book that I won't talk about super heavy, but she's able to go to the scene where that fight happened and like see the residue of certain emotions. She can see pain, she can sense fear, sense anger and stuff like that. So she's able to delve into these alphas and free them from this pull, and that's kind of where you see like a physical representation of the pull itself and all that other stuff. She is able to take a lot of damage, but she has certain weapons at her disposal, and in the first part of the book, you find her in an apartment with Haven. She kind of is just living, seems like just a normal woman, like nothing too crazy. But when the awakenings happen and she sees it on TV and sees the news, you can tell that she knows what's going on. There's more to Clarity than meets the eye. She's either experienced this before or she knows about it. And she basically tells Haven to pack her things, and they're leaving. They're going to Chicago. They're going to these other places where these battles are happening. And she just keeps telling Haven, like, we need to get there. We need to do this. We need to do that. She's very, very authoritative and knows exactly what she needs to do, which kind of lends to the, okay, what does she know, so to speak, right? And then when she leaves her apartment, she pulls out $560,000 in cash, which is insane. She speaks multiple languages throughout the first part, so like you can tell, like, okay, something's up with Clarity, but we're not sure what, right? She does have again, like I said, the ability for clairvoyance. She's able to like see residues of past battles. She's able to stop, control her breathing, and track people, so to speak, and find people in a way through her abilities and through her powers, which they're not exactly stated in the first part of the book. If they were, I probably wouldn't tell you, to be completely honest. But they're not exactly. It's just kind of hinted at. But she does take Haven, and she does have some other things at her disposal. She has a 1911, which just seems like a normal 1911, but she also has a dagger. This dagger has some special abilities, it seems, and there's certain interactions in the first part of the book. Again, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm purposely leaving these out so you can have fun and experience them for yourself. But her dagger definitely has some abilities above just a normal dagger, right? A normal sword. And you kind of see that through some interactions in the first part of the book, which is really, really cool. Again, she has Haven. Haven is her pseudo-adopted daughter. She finds Haven, I think it's by a dumpster or something, but doesn't know where Haven came from, doesn't know like her originations, none of that. Haven can't even remember, I think, where she came from. So she kind of took Haven under her wing and now raises Haven as her own, so to speak. Haven is a happy-go-lucky kind of young girl who just kind of, really looks up to Clarity, follows Clarity pretty blindly for the most part. But I don't know the exact age of Haven. I don't think it states it. If I had to guess, I would guess like 12, 13. That's the guess I would put. Ridge, if you watch this, or anyone that does Alpha Class, the exact age, let me know. But I'm pretty sure she's in like her preteen stage, just by the way she talks and how she acts and stuff. She might be even a little younger, might be like 10, but I would guess like 12 or 13. And Haven's very, very astute, very, very observant, can feel when things are bad or about to happen, and it's not just like a sinking feeling, but it appears that she has like a paranormal sixth sense almost. She's able to kind of see things before they, not see what is going to happen, but feel that something bad's about to happen, and she uses that ability to help Clarity in several instances in the first part of the book. She also has a really good ability to hide, and it doesn't really talk about it in the first part of the book. Clarity just tells her to hide on several occasions, and she just disappears out of literal thin air, and then reappears randomly. And Clarity can't sense when she's coming back or where she is, so it's really, really weird. Again, this isn't talked about in the book, and I don't think I've read to this point yet, but we do have card art, as you can see here, that maybe there's something she can do. Clarity even states during a breakfast that they're having with another person that she's like, I have superpowers too. I can hide really well. And at first it seems like just kind of a fun-go-lucky thing that, this little girl saying, like something you'd experience a kid say that's really funny. But there's also the way that Al writes it in the book, which is awesome, that it's like, wait a second, maybe there is something she can do. But she just follows Clarity around for the most part. There's nothing too crazy in this first part of the book with her. They do reference, and this is just like a snippet, this isn't a major plot point, but there is kind of a fun ode to some of the card art, and this is why I implore you to read this novel, to read the comic books, because you'll see like unassuming cards like this, like Vanny's Grocery, and you realize like it actually had like a subtle plot point in the story, and there's a reason, right, that it's a card in the game. And as we're going forward, and Ridge has explained, like the card art in the upcoming sets is going to be taken directly from the comics. So you're going to be able to like put these two together. And again, it just makes it so much more enjoyable to play these cards when you know the background behind them, right? It's not just like a obscure lore piece that you kind of don't know much about. Like it's like, I understand the emotional connection with this card from the story perspective. Vanny's Grocery is a location that they visit. Clarity personally likes to shop at small grocery stores. She doesn't like to do big box stores. She doesn't like to do fast food. Every time her and Haven go shopping, they go to like a little grocery store like this. And there's a significant event that happens at Vanny's Grocery in the first part of the story. So that's kind of that. Clarity and Haven do come into contact with Shadowlight. I won't explain how and exactly how the whole interaction happens, but this is where you also see Clarity's first clairvoyant abilities in her interaction with Shadowlight. Shadowlight truly is in the TCG is a double-sided contender, right? We have the Shadowlight Dark Absence and Shadowlight Bright Beacon, and you can flip back and forth, right? And the character really does embody that in the story. The light version is the good side, for lack of a better term, overgeneralizing the crap out of it, but it's a good side, and the dark is the bad side. They're not really two people. It doesn't even seem like they're two personalities. It just seems like whatever is driving Shadowlight, which is otherwise known as Sensei Mizuno or Archie, is the nickname that is given in the book. You can kind of tell that he is aware of both sides. It's not really like a dual personality thing. It's more so like a control thing is the best way to put it. So Mizuno Shadowlight is later to be discovered as Sensei Mizuno or Archie. He owns a karate dojo, which is really cool. He's former military and he was a PE teacher, but he didn't like the political system of the school system, so he ended up just opening up his own karate dojo. And he has some pretty significant interactions with Clarity up until this point in the book, which is really, really cool. And you'll find out more about him, but that was really, really awesome. There's 3 main plot lines in the first 100 pages of the book, which is what this video is on. The Clarity Haven story, the Mean Streak story, and the Moxie Magnate story. So the second part is Mean Streak. Mean Streak, otherwise known as Curtis Stenner. Curtis is a dishonorably discharged. At this point, I don't think you know it's dishonorably discharged. He kind of hints at it. It doesn't say inherently dishonorably discharged, but he says, I don't like the Army. The Army didn't like me. Soldier that basically has turned into a street thug, not really a gang member. He's not really a part of a gang. He's more of just like a mean bully on the streets that gets what he wants. And he is affected by the awakening as well. He ends up getting in a pretty big bout with T-Bone. I won't talk about the ending or how that ended up. Definitely read the novels to check it out. I won't spoil it, but I will say he beats the crap out of T-Bone before they're awakened. He comes up onto T-Bone, who's another character. And I'll show the card art here in a second, and beats the crap out of T-Bone. And then when they both awaken, T-Bone has a grudge, and then they fight each other. So he beats up T-Bone. Again, he ends up having these streaks, again, that most people know about. These streaks, there's 10 of them, is what you find out. And one of them he names Lefty, which I didn't know until I read the novels of like the significance of this very prominent blue card that a lot of people play, Lefty's Last Stand. No, most people don't know that Lefty is literally that that in the middle where that dagger's trying to go through, or that spear's trying to go through, and that streak is blocking it. That's actually like Lefty. That's the one of the 10 streaks that he's named, which is really, really cool. He has 10 streaks, which again, it leads ode to Mean Streak, Blink of an Eye. If you notice, Mean Streak, Blink of an Eye's biggest ability is if you have 10 or more streak counters, it gets 5/5. Like, this wasn't just a random number they picked. They picked 1, 3, 5, and 10 because they have significance to Mean Streak, like powering up, which again, this is why I implore you to read the novels and read the comic books if you can, because you'll start to understand the meaningfulness behind some of this card art and some of the text on the card art, which is so, so cool. He ends up fighting T-Bone in a post-awakened state, even though he's not fully realized that he's awakened yet, and he ends up getting thrown like 3 blocks by T-Bone and crashing into Garfield Park Lagoon. Again, this is such a funny thing because no one realizes, if you just looked at this art, you wouldn't realize that person with their feet in the air right there in the middle is Mean Streak, but it is, because Mean Streak crashed into it, which is really, really funny. He ends up fighting T-Bone. Again, I won't say how that goes, but T-Bone is like just this thug. Terrence Bernard Williams is his full name, that has came into I think he came in from Philly, or he is in Philly. They're in Philly, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they are in Philly. He came in from Philly with his cousin Lawrence, and he is basically in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that's why him and Mean Streak get in a fight, because he's bullying one of Mean Streak's like Mean Streak has a beat that he walks to like basically bully random people for money or whatever, and Terrence is in his turf, so to speak. So they kind of get into it because of that. He has strength and power 100 times the average human in his awakened state. He's huge, like his muscles like go way bigger in his post-awakened state, and he like wants to use that power. Just his aggression is also like quintupled. It's insane. So he's very strong, very powerful. And as you can see here, they had a big bout. I won't spoil how that ends up. And then we have Magnate, Indomitable Will. Well, Magnate in general. Magnate's another big alpha that is awakened in New York City. Magnate has gamma powers, is able to shoot gamma rays, and is like extremely like shoot like hot beams. He also has super strength. He's able to fly. He's extremely durable, and he ends up coming into a altercation with Moxie, and you can tell in that altercation in New York City that there's a plan that Magnate has. Like he ends up having an interaction with the U.S. government, we'll put it that way, and you can tell by what he says into the camera, like he wants other alphas to come to New York City. He wants them to be on his turf, and he wants to fight them. He has a plan for what he's doing, which again kind of goes back to this artwork, right? He ends up having a altercation with Moxie. Moxie is Maxine Riggins. She is a West Point grad that is an Army helicopter pilot who ends up joining to be a helicopter pilot just so she can get on the front lines. They want to allow women, in certain specialist roles in combat MOSs, and they kind of talk about that. So she becomes a helicopter pilot as a way in, and then she ends up becoming a weapons specialist. She's very, very good at flying helicopters, but also very good with basically any type of weapon. Her dad was a former Army who then had a range, so she says she could disassemble an M16 when she was 7 years old. She actually got in trouble as a kid. One little fun side plot that's not really a spoiler. She had some kids that were TPing in her house, and so when she was a kid in high school, she made claymores with paintballs and stuff that like made people throw up when they smelt it, like vomit, and the kids got tripped over it, and that got her in trouble. And apparently it almost caused her to not get into the Army. However, she did have connections with Colonel Edwards and Sassar Weber, which we'll talk about here in a second, that allowed her to get into the Army. So she ends up getting put on a task force with Colonel Edwards and Sassar Weber, and their whole purpose, sanctioned by the U.S. government, is to seek out these alphas and kill them, basically, or find out more about them, but really neutralize them. They see the alphas as like domestic and foreign terrorists, and that's what they're known as the second they do it. But Colonel Edwards is a brilliant mind that fully believes that these alphas are basically like aliens, and that they're here to like wipe us out. And he works again with Maxine Riggins and Weber, Sassar and Weber, in order to try to combat and fight these alphas. But in this first part of the book, they're always like one step behind, so to speak. So that's kind of the basis of it. Clarity, also just like a decent plot point, and this has been talked about in podcasts a lot with Ridge and them. That's why I'm okay sharing it. Is you find out that like every major human event that we can't explain that like wiped out a civilization, Clarity is like, oh, it was an alpha clash. Like Atlantis, the sinking of Atlantis was an alpha clash. The flood in the Bible, alpha clash. The extinct of the dinosaurs, alpha clash. Like she tells who she's talking to, like, no, y'all don't understand. I was there. She also can again speak, like she speaks 3 different languages in the first part of the book, which kind of lends to like, okay, she knows stuff, or she's at least experienced those things. So it's really, really cool. But that's the first, literally, I went 10,000 foot level on the first 20% of the novel. There is way more plot points that happen in the story as far in the outcomes of some of the battles. I purposely am not going to tell any outcomes of any battles, because like that's half the fun of this novel, is seeing these big characters clash and like who's going to win or lose. You don't know. So I'm purposely like not going to like talk about those. But I implore you, definitely get on it. Try to find a way to get this novel. They have some on eBay. I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing more editions of this. You also can go in the Discord and ask around. There's ways to get your hands on this pretty good without like paying premium. Also, go to the Team Covenant website. They're doing a subscription model with the upcoming comic books. They're going to be releasing comic books monthly with the new sets, or like Red said, monthly to semi-monthly. But they already had the first 2 comics done, so those will be coming out pretty expediently. But definitely give it a look. I'm going to be doing, as you can see, I read this once, but you can see, let's see if you can see where it is. Yeah, you can see where my marker is. That's how much of the book I just went over. That's it. So we're going to be doing like 4 more episodes. I'm going to talk about some key characters, key plot points without revealing too much, because I want you to be able to experience it for yourself, right? So hopefully enjoy this. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Lore stuff is fun for me to talk about. I'm trying to formulate it in a way where you can get excited about it and get more info on it without being spoiled too much, so you don't like lose out on the fun experience of reading it for yourself. So if this was enough info, please let me know. If it was too high level and you want me to go a little bit deeper without trying to get rid of spoilers, I will. Definitely let me know. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.